This is the story of Yoshino Sumi, a high school girl who's grown up in a Yakuza family. Her family might be a bit unconventional, okay, very unconventional, but she's gotten used to her world of strange business meetings and suit-wearing uncles who could probably bench press a car. Life is fairly peaceful, until her grandfather drops a bombshell on her. Apparently, Grandpa has decided she needs help in the love department, so he's arranged for her to marry Kirishima Miyama, the heir to another Yakuza family. Yoshino isn't exactly thrilled. She'd honestly rather eat her homework than spend 1 minute alone with Kirishima. They've known each other since they were kids, and she can safely say he's every bit as charming as a soggy piece of toast. But now, thanks to her dear family, she's expected to get along with Kirishima. The only problem is she's not sure if get along means holding her temper or just letting him know he's not her idea of a dream date. Either way, Yoshino's life just got a whole lot more complicated. The story begins with Kirishima relaxing on the porch of his family home. His subordinate hands him a picture of Yoshino Sumi, and Kirishima, smiling, calls her cute, openly admitting he wouldn't mind letting her mess up his life. Meanwhile, Yoshino, fresh from a regular day at school, walks in to find some outrageous claims splashed across the local newspaper. An insider has spilled that a possible engagement is brewing between the grandchild of a Somi clan boss and someone from the rival Miyama clan. She rolls her eyes until she learns the insider is none other than her own grandfather, Renji, who also happens to be the head of the Somi clan. Renji doesn't even try to deny it. He's genuinely worried about her, he says. She's beautiful, she's smart, but she's 17 with no boyfriend in sight. If she won't find one herself, he's more than happy to take matters into his own hands. Besides, getting her married off to the Miyama clan is a convenient way for him to sign a truce with their rivals, possibly even uniting the two clans. Nothing says family bonding like a strategic marriage. Yoshino isn't thrilled at first. Sure, her school life in Osaka isn't exactly amazing. Her Yakuza princess status keeps everyone at a distance, and rumors follow her wherever she goes. Maybe Tokyo would be different. Maybe no one there knows who she is or what her family does. Her grandfather's insistence nudges her over the edge, and eventually, she agrees to at least give the engagement a chance. Once in Tokyo, Yoshino is surprised by the strikingly handsome Miyama clan boss, Gaku, and his equally handsome nephew, Kirishima. Kirishima shows her to a cozy home, a former tearoom annex for her comfort, and even says she's free to turn down the engagement if it feels too old-fashioned. Yoshino, however, decides to give it a shot, especially since Kirishima isn't exactly hard on the eyes. Things start smoothly. Kirishima drives her to Orin Private High School each day, where she focuses on fine arts while he sticks to math and science. In a quiet gesture, he suggests she drop the formalities and just call him Kirishima, which she reluctantly agrees to, feeling like she's broken some invisible rule. At school, a few classmates finally approach her, and Yoshino feels a flicker of hope until they start grilling her about her relationship with Kirishima. Flustered, she clarifies that they aren't relatives, but may be living together soon. This only makes the girls more annoyed, and Yoshino realizes she's now public enemy number one. Throughout the day, Yoshino starts noticing just how popular Kirishima is. The girls seem to practically worship him, and now they're glaring at her like she's some kind of intruder. But to her surprise, Kirishima remains his usual polite, laid-back self, even with all the attention he gets. Yoshino can't help but feel curious. Here he is, openly Yakuza, yet he acts like he doesn't have a care in the world. Finally, she asks if it bothers him that people might judge him for his background. Kirishima's cheerful mask slips just a bit, and he shrugs, admitting he really doesn't care what people think. Honestly, he says, it's annoying to even think about it. Yoshino blinks at this sudden, intense honesty, but decides to let it slide for now. That night, Yoshino finds herself unable to sleep. Annoyingly enough, her brain seems to be replaying Kirishima's every word on a loop. Frustrated, she finally gets up to get a glass of water. Looking out the window, she spots car headlights pulling into the driveway. Curious, she watches as Kirishima steps out, his arms stained with blood. Gone is his usual carefree smile. In this moment, he truly looks like a Yakuza. It's enough to make anyone double-check the door locks. The next day, Yoshino tries to keep things casual, even asking Kirishima if he'll help her pick up some essentials that night. He agrees, but by now, rumors about her are flying around the school. Her classmates are already making wild guesses about her connection to Kirishima, and it's clear any chance of a peaceful school life has gone out the window. That night, she heads out shopping with Kirishima, trying to stay upbeat. But as she stops to withdraw cash, some thugs approach her, clearly more interested in trouble than small talk. They guide her into an alley, warning her not to put up a fight. Just as things start to look bad, Kirishima appears. Smiling, he steps in, and the thugs make the mistake of threatening him. Kirishima responds by mercilessly beating them into a bloody mess. Even when Yoshino urges him to stop, he ignores her, like he's decided this is his workout for the day. Afterward, Kirishima leans over the barely conscious men and tells them Yoshino is his. Yoshino stands there, speechless, as he turns to her and casually advises her to be more careful. Then, as if to underline his warning, he slips off his blood-stained jacket, revealing intricate tattoos across his back and shoulders. The sight takes Yoshino by surprise, but Kirishima tries to keep his friendly demeanor intact. However, when he reaches out to her, Yoshino instinctively pulls back, slapping his hand away. For the first time, she sees a flicker of something else in his eyes, a shadow of his Yakuza life, and suddenly realizes just how complicated her new world is. Finally, Kirishima drops the friendly act, letting his true, darker side show. He looks at Yoshino with thinly veiled disappointment, as if he just realized his new toy doesn't come with batteries. She's far more ordinary than he'd hoped, and he admits he thought she might keep him entertained for at least a year. But now, he's already bored. Deeming her a waste of his time, he tells her that she's only good for her face and body, so she might as well catch in on that. Oh, and if she decides to return to Osaka, she's welcome to tell their family exactly what he said. He'd love the drama. At school, when she opens her locker, she finds it splattered with mud. Realizing she's now the school's favorite target, she clenches her jaw, scrubbing her belongings clean, too stubborn to give up. When her grandfather calls to check in, she plays it cool, pretending all is well, though his caring tone nearly makes her crack. Renji, ever the strategist, insists she stay in Tokyo for a year, even suggesting she make Kirishima fall for her just to dump him. Yoshino, sighing at the brilliant advice from the men in her life, decides to handle things her own way, and promptly disappears for 2 weeks. When she returns, she walks up to Kirishima with a confident smile and a bag full of cash. She asks if he remembers his advice to sell herself for some money. She smugly reveals that she did just that. She sold her kidney. Now she's here to give him both grief and a pile of cash. Yoshino has no plans to return to Osaka, but she's done letting people push her around. With Kirishima stunned, she turns her glare on the girls who trashed her locker. She makes it clear that if they so much as think about crossing her again, she'll drag them all down with her. After a brief silence, Kirishima, unexpectedly thrilled, declares he's in love with her and even proposes, adding that her bold attitude has him completely won over and aroused. Yoshino is brought up to speed on some serious drama. Shiori, the daughter of President Akaza, a business contact of the Miyama family, has vanished without a trace, and to prevent anything from happening to Yoshino, she has to spend all of her time around Kirishima or her guard, Inamori. Yoshino is horrified at this outcome, but Kirishima is excited by it. Yoshino can't help but wonder if she'll lose her temper and kill Kirishima by the time this is over. When asked what happened to Shiori, Kirishima speculates she either ran away or was kidnapped and sold off. He seems oddly amused by these circumstances. Yoshino reminds him the same could happen to them, but Kirishima isn't worried. He's not related to his family's patriarch by blood. Rather, Gaku Miyama is Kirishima's granduncle who took him in when he was 12, after Kirishima had nowhere else to go. Meanwhile, things get even shadier. An Akaza employee turns up dead, and President Akaza, looking more suspicious by the second, goes into hiding. Yoshino's ever-watchful bodyguard, Inamori, spills more tea. Back when Kirishima was 12, he managed to land 20 of his classmates in the hospital. His parents were so horrified, they practically begged Gaku to handle him. Thus, Kirishima found himself with a spot in the Yakuza. You know, typical family intervention. Then, as luck would have it, Yoshino spots Shiori at a club owned by her grandfather's business partner. But this isn't just a random encounter. Turns out, Shiori and that deceased employee had pulled off a major swindle, cheating the Filipino mafia out of 500 million yen. Now, the mafia isn't exactly thrilled about this. They killed the employee, scared President Akaza into hiding, and are dead set on hunting down Shiori. Kirishima insists that Shiori take responsibility for the mess, hoping it'll prevent an all-out war between the Miyama family and the Filipinos. But before anyone can make a move, a group of Filipino thugs bursts in, looking for Shiori, and poor Yoshino ends up getting injured in the chaos. This sets Kirishima off completely. He unleashes a savage fury on Shiori's guards and the thugs, looking like he's auditioning for a horror movie. Yoshino, furious herself, jumps in and saves Kirishima by clocking a thug with her trusty hairdryer, knocking him out cold. Kirishima's thrilled beyond reason. She may have used a hairdryer as a weapon, but to him, she's practically a gladiator. Once the dust settles, President Akaza and Shiori are banished from Japan, and thankfully, peace returns between the Miyama family and the Filipino group. Then, Yoshino receives a jaw-dropping reward for finding Shiori. A cool 10 million yen. She stares at the money, torn between disbelief and laughter, before deciding this is just ridiculous. Just when things seem calm, Kirishima spots a man watching them, and Yoshino can't help but wonder if this is just the beginning of her unusual new life. Kirishima, in his strange way, feels pretty proud of Yoshino and can't help bragging about her to one of his girlfriends. He's completely thrown off, though, when she tells him that having Yoshino mad at him all the time is actually not a win. This piece of news has him genuinely baffled. One night, Yoshino wakes up to find Kirishima watching her sleep. When she demands to know why he's being creepy, he shrugs and says he wanted to see her face when she's not mad. Yoshino just sighs and explains that her anger might, just maybe, have something to do with his habit of committing random crimes. This revelation looks like it hits him like a brick. But then something really stumps him. Yoshino doesn't even care about his other lovers. In the midst of all this chaos, Renji, Yoshino's grandfather, arrives in Tokyo for a private dinner with the Yakuza bosses from Kanto and Kansai. Kirishima casually mentions that Renji is not only buddies with Gaku, but also with a kaim of the Ryuzetsu clan. The mysterious man watching Yoshino turns out to be Shoma, a familiar face from her own clan, and someone she's known her whole life. But as soon as Kirishima catches wind of him, he's on high alert, launching an investigation as if Shoma's a secret agent. Yoshino, meanwhile, confides in Shoma about her plan to eventually break Kirishima's heart. Turns out, their engagement isn't just family drama, it's a high-stakes move for peace among the Yakuza. If things go south, it could ignite a war between the Somi and Miyama families, dragging the Tokusa and Kiriyama clans of eastern and western Japan into the conflict. Basically, her love life is a potential powder keg. Shoma, ever loyal, offers her an easy way out. He'll just take care of Kirishima himself. One-way ticket back to Osaka style. But Yoshino shuts him down, not quite ready to go that far. Shoma shrugs, heads out for a cigarette, and nearly walks right into Kirishima, who's clearly been lurking for a confrontation. Shoma raises an eyebrow when Kirishima casually mentions he thinks Renji has no real intention of them actually getting married, that the engagement is just some elaborate manipulation. The next day, Yoshino notices that Kirishima's letting his dangerous side slip out again, and a nervous thought crosses her mind. What if he's just bored with her? She decides to test the waters and asks him if he's jealous of Shoma. Kirishima laughs it off, claiming he isn't, since the idea of her dating Shoma would actually feed his masochism. He's totally fine if she cheats, he explains, with only one small condition. One day, he'll kill Shoma. Romantic boundaries, Yakuza style. Yoshino then lays it out plainly. She was planning to dump him in a year and head back to Osaka. But she tells him she'll make a deal. If he can somehow actually make her love him, she'll stick around in Tokyo. However, he has to drop all his fake acts and just be himself all the time. The next day, Yoshino catches a cold, and Kirishima, determined to care for her, tries to stay by her side. After handling some Yakuza business, Kirishima comes home late to find her condition has worsened. Without hesitation, he rushes her to the hospital, half asleep and groggy. Yoshino mumbles something about him smelling nice, which seems to surprise them both. Later, Kirishima updates Renji on the situation. Surprisingly, Renji seems genuinely pleased with how things are going between them, much to Kirishima's confusion. Yoshino decides to visit her cousin Tsubaki, and of course, Kirishima tags along. As they arrive, Yoshino can't help but feel a bit uneasy. Tsubaki is exactly the type of woman Kirishima would go for. Tsubaki, meanwhile, has her own quirks. She idolizes their grandfather Renji, calling him the ideal man, despite the fact he's, well, their grandfather. In the middle of all this, Yoshino's phone rings. It's her school, reminding her that she forgot to submit some paperwork. She heads back by taxi, leaving Kirishima alone with Tsubaki. Seeing an opportunity, he knows Tsubaki's stepfather is a director in the Doseikai medical group. Tsubaki must be the one Yoshino approached to sell their kidney. Kirishima's confident that Tsubaki cares about Yoshino way too much to actually go through with it, so he figures the surgery must have been fake. Tsubaki laughs and admits he's right, assuring Kirishima that Yoshino's in no real danger. Tsubaki gives him a warning. She's perfectly capable of relocating Yoshino somewhere he'd never find her if he steps out of line. Family loyalty has its limits after all. Later, Yoshino finds out something that really sets her off. Kirishima has traded a rare photo of Renji as a teenager to Tsubaki in exchange for a photo of Yoshino in a bikini. And that's it for today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed the story. See you next time.